You are welcome to you are welcome to my second tutorial for the day. This tutorial is on academic writing, and I think that's one of the most important section of our discussions. Um, Academic paper. What is it? You are going to write an essay, and but the essay, the essay is not just ordinary essays that we write. You write the essay, but you use evidence from academic papers to support your claim. So you are writing your paper, and then you're using sources to support your claim. Writing at US here is APA inclined. In other words, you use APA, so it's supposed to use APA style in doing the in-text citation of our work. Now, you'll be given a question, but this particular question or task that you are given is supposed to be on a topic that is well known among health students. In other words, a topic that is common. For example, if you're asked to write about HIV, COVID-19, or Mpox, you should be able to say something about some of these things. Even though you may not have a deep knowledge about each of the topics, as a health student in a health university, it is assumed or it is believed that you have some knowledge about these things. And therefore, if you're asked to write an essay on any of these topics, you can write something. It is also prudent that as a health worker or as somebody in a health university, you should be abreast of some of these developments. Anytime some of these diseases or sicknesses or pandemics have come, it is wise, it is advisable that you should read around them and to be abreast of development. So the topic is not going to be known to you before the paper. But I believe strongly that whatever it is, you can write something. Now, the information that we have in the excerpts can also help you to be able to write better. It is not a case that you should just go and look at the excerpt and begin to copy from there. If you do that, then you do not own the essay. And it also means that you are plagiarizing. So develop a structure and try as much as possible to see whether you can use the structure to write a paper or an essay for yourself. It helps. So a topic will be given to you, and then sources will be added. Sources will also be added. You're supposed to write your essay, and if it becomes necessary for you to show your academic prowess, you do not to show your skill, then you are quoting from sources to support your work. We did a lot of discussions on this, and therefore this is not new. I even have given some my students samples essays to read through, so that they will not be it will not be a surprise to them in the exam or to see the kind of thing that the question they will see. So what to do? You're supposed to own the essay. To own the essay, I said already, to means you should develop your own structure and write your own essay. You can incorporate sources, the already existing findings, which will add to the questions. And sorry, we add to the questions. You can incorporate those into your essay. You're not expected to copy sources into your work easy. If you do that, you are just a copycat. Kind of, you are guilty of plagiarism. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to summarize or paraphrase sources into your essay, or you can use just a part of the material supplying the sources. In other words, the sources that we give you, you may not use, maybe you can just use one, a string or stretch of it if you think so. That's what you need. And if you think that you must use all that small piece, I don't mean the whole chunk of the source. But if you're going to use a small part of it, then you can put it in quotes. And remember to add the page number if you think that you need to use inverted commas and quote the exact material from the writer. Then you are going to put it in inverted commas and add page to it, maybe into bracket page 4, page 5, or 6, whatever. You may not you may not need to incorporate all the sources, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 sources into your work. Maybe just 3 or 4. So let's look at the structure. My advice is this, that when you have the topic, you develop your own structure. For example, let's say you are writing on maybe prevention of HIV. I'm using this example because it's a common example. I don't want anybody to say that I'm trying to uh, probably talk about topics which students as a way of maybe trying to tell them ahead of time. No, HIV is common, so it's not a big problem. So let's say you are supposed to discuss the prevention of HIV among students, or maybe it could be among secondary school children or maybe adults. So my advice is I will talk about the introduction, I'll talk about the name of the disease, history, prevalence, etc. Then maybe causes of prevention, effects, management, sorry. Yes, management, prevention, maybe conclusion and recommendation. See this structure, but these are general things that you may want to use, but you must pay attention to the question. What is the demand of the question? In other words, what are they asking you to do there? If you are being asked to answer a question for 30 minutes, maybe 1.5 pages or two, you may not be able to write everything that we have in the structure here. If you have time to do so, go ahead and do so. So I think that there is a simplified structure. Let's look at this one. Focus on the demand of the question. For example, here, prevention of HIV. Explain the disease, background info, the history, etc. I'm leaving these 2 or 3 lines here to show that we can add to the structure as time will permit. We can discuss anything here as time will permit, but the largest portion of your discussion must focus on preventing the thing, because that's the demand of the question. So I put here prevention, preventing, largest portion of your discussion or your essay. So that if you are discussing you are writing a 5-paragraph essay, then maybe three of the paragraphs must be on the demand of the question, which in this case is what? Prevention of HIV. You're going to discuss the chunk or the bulk of your discussion must focus on that. Maybe the introduction and the conclusion can be used to give recommendation or such things as that. So call it a simplified or brief structure. What are we talking about? We're talking about HIV, but you cannot just go and start talking about prevention of HIV. Maybe I think you can give a brief introduction about what a thing is. What is it? What or define it? If you have time, you can play around the topics, maybe about prevention, about management, and all that. But focus mainly on the key topic of the question. If you have any difficulty trying to focus on the topic, you can underline it. Underline the topic. I'm supposed to discuss 3 factors of that. I'm supposed to discuss 4 preventions of that. That is the way you can do. Can do it by circling it or you underline it so that you can remember. So let's say this is a topic, explain the disease or the concept, then give background information or history. If it is about prevention, then go straight to that place and discuss the bulk of your discussion there. If it's about control, then that is going to be the main focus of your essay. If it's about recommendation for anything, that is going to be the focus of your essay. So within 30 minutes or so, or 20 minutes or so, you can write a good essay out of 20 marks. That will help to be able to put you on a good footing. Your inter-citation, remember that use the writer's last name. The name on the right, on the extreme right, is the surname. When you see a name, you see a name written in series. Dan Kofi Mensah or Mensah Dan Kofi. The name on the extreme right, or if there are two, say 2 names in the series, then the one on the right is the surname. If there are 3, the one on the extreme right is the series. If there are 4, the one on the extreme right is the surname. Therefore, in the body of the essay, you don't need to write like Kofi Mensah into bracket 2018. That is not what I taught you. You have to use the same name and just one name. One. If it is a compound name, it's different. You see a name hyphenated, that's a different case. So you write this and then you can blend the narrative type of citation with a parenthetical type, which I taught you in class and gave you a sample. How to incorporate these things into the text is something you can also revise. Read around what you were taught in a IT class, we call it information literacy class, and the materials that I gave you, you can read around them to see whether you can place yourself in a better position for tomorrow's CC. I may not go into all that you need to be able to do citation because we discussed this as length, and therefore fall on those resources to help you do your revision well. So to go over this again, academic paper is not just any ordinary essay that you want to write. You write and then you cite sources to support your work. That actually shows that you are an academician. I suggest that you do not just copy things from the sources and pile them together. That is not an essay. It's copied work. And it is a sign of the fact that the student is not on a, the student lacks the skill of writing. So write, and as you are writing, go to the sources, summarize or paraphrase to support whatever you are doing, to support your work. Do not copy from sources into your essay. Some students, over the years, some students are just interested in copying the whole thing that we have, the whole passage or the extract or the source is about 10 lines. They copy everything into the text. They are not writing an essay. They are not writing an academic paper. To summarize or paraphrase, you don't need to use all the sources. Maybe the few that relate to your work directly. You can just circle them, underline them, and see what you can incorporate into your work. So develop a structure for your essay. You must understand the name of the disease or the name of the concept or the issue, the history, if there is information on it, the statistics, if there is any information on it, then the causes and symptoms, effects, prevention and management, and conclusion. That is if you have time. But more importantly, it is not about having time or discussing the structure. Go to the demand of the question. What the question asks you to do, go specifically to that place, give a brief introduction, and then go straight to that point and dedicate a large portion of your time and space to satisfy the demand of the question. So I suggest that even if it is going to be on prevention of something or control of something, definitely we need to know what the whole thing is about, what the thing is, what the pandemic is, what the sickness is, what the disease is, what the social issue it is. So you cannot just go and talk about, you cannot go tackle the questions without giving us any background information. It won't work. It's not fine. So your inter-citation, there are a lot of things I can say here, but I don't know. You are doing inter-citation using the parenthetical citation. You are free writing. You don't need to place a full stop before the bracket. You have quoted material. You want to use a parenthesis. You put the brackets, the surname and the year into the brackets. Then you close it. It is after the brackets that you place the full stop there. You're not supposed to use material or you quote something, then you add a full stop before we see brackets again. Then you put the surname and the surname and the year into the bracket. Then you put another full stop at the bracket. I did not teach you that. That is why I gave you a sample to be looking at it. You can look at that for the whole day if you want. You are using a parenthetical citation. You finish whatever you want to you credit to the person. At the end of it, you introduce a bracket, the year, so the name and the year. It is after the second bracket on the right that you place a full stop there. You are using a narrative type of citation. Kofi Mensa, so Mensa, if you like, Kofi Mensa. So the name on the right is Mensa. So Mensa 2018. Mensa 2018 in brackets. Mensa itself cannot be in brackets in this case. Mensa into bracket 2018 notes that, indicates that, states that. If you want to use the past tense, no problem. Stated that, noted that. indicated, that claim that, then you continue writing. This is not anything difficult, something that you have seen severally in class. So that is it. I do not have much to say beyond this level. Remember to subscribe to this channel, because I may or may not send you the link for the next upload. I think earlier today, or was it last night, I posted something that you not show the link. And I don't know whether you got it or not, but that's not my problem. If you don't want to subscribe, it's no problem. The choice is yours. So remember to subscribe to this channel, and so that you can easily get the next upload. Then in the exam room, please remember to shade deeply. Shade the scannable boxes deep enough for the machine, the system to identify your marks and your shadings. It's very important. Thank you very much. Subscribe for the next upload. I wish you well.